Welcome to the From Code to C-Suite podcast.
You see the drop of 10-20% for first-time comers in crypto. This is massive.
Yeah.
What should I do with myself,
Some people might just take it out and run away and never do it again, right?
Exactly. If you take the FTX crash, that impacted us significantly. Luna crash, the 3AC, all these events in the crypto world, the Bybit hack, do have their toll on the industry. No one even thought about a regulated crypto exchange. Everyone would go, are you crazy? Why are you leaving money on the table?
Yeah.
Because everyone was like Binance, Bybit, all these big exchanges, just because they were acting into this
Grey area, yeah. Non-regulation, it's crazy, isn't it? You can just put money into anything, who knows what's going on.
Fast forward today, which is 5-6 years, and you see Binance, the biggest crypto exchange, which was free for all, decentralized, never regulated, to the most regulated exchange that there is.
In this episode, Halid breaks down what crypto really became after the crashes, why regulation is changing everything, and what founders and builders need to do now to stay ahead. Let's get into the conversation.
Soon you will not be able to transfer 1,000 USDT to an individual without having background checks and source of fund checks done on your transaction. And I think that there is going to be soon a place where you no longer need a CTO.
Halid, good morning and welcome to the podcast. How are you?
All good. How are you, Liam? Thanks for having me.
Very good. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I know you're a super busy man, so thank you very much for giving me the time today.
Thank you.
Look, Halid, just wanted to anybody who doesn't know you or maybe hasn't seen you on LinkedIn or knows exactly who you are, could you please give us an introduction to who you are, what you're working on, and what problem you're looking to solve at the moment?
Yeah, so my name is Halid. I'm running close to 5 years working at Coinflare, which is a crypto exchange that focuses mainly on user journey and trying to educate them how to trade and then, of course, reward and incentivize them to do their trades. So much more focused than just giving them a platform where they can do their technical trading. And we have been at this mission for the past 5 years, as I said. Previously, we were Bitflex. Now we are rebranded into Coinflare. Myself, I've been here in the UAE for the past 13 years.
Nice.
So I would say my technical journey or journey into tech actually started and developed and evolved here in the UAE.
Nice. Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about Coinflare. What exactly is it? I know you says it's an exchange, right? Tell me a bit more about that and what you're actually building right now.
It is a centralized exchange, very similar to what the Binance, Bybit is, in a sense that we provide trading to our users. Whether it is spot trading, derivatives trading, we provide all of that. However, the spin that we're taking on things is that trading can be very difficult, even in an emotional sense of risk, of loss, and so on. So what we're trying to do is to help and hold hand the early users who are just stepping into the industry, especially that blockchain and crypto is recent. It's a new industry. So we're trying to help them by educating them on how to manage risk, how to manage portfolio, what is holding, what is hodling in crypto, and how to build a proper and sound strategy in trading. That is through our educational part. From there, we want to make trading fun. Through gamification, through loyalty, rewards, that at least your experience, even if you suffer a loss with what's happening in the market, that you at least come out as a winner in a certain way.
Yeah.
Maybe your P&L has been doing well. Maybe you lost less than everyone else. Or when it is the bull market, maybe you're the one who spotted the coin that is doing the 10x. And it's interesting to be able to brag about that in leaderboards, in tournaments, in these kind of settings that are common in other industries.
Yeah.
Take FPL or Fantasy Premier League and so on. We do get inspiration from other industries in how we want to build the product inside out.
Nice. I think that's really clever actually, because maybe some people want to start getting to investing in crypto or trading in crypto, and they just for the first time put a lump sum in and they lose it, or they find it very difficult to make money off it. If it's gamified, I guess it takes away that a little bit, right? And if it is in leaderboards, it's a bit more of a competition and they take it a bit more seriously, but also more fun at the same time, I guess.
Exactly. And sometimes you just want to put $100, $200 in, and then just to see how far you can drive that. And even when that sting comes in and you see the drop of 10-20% for first time comers in crypto, this would be okay. This is massive. What should I do with myself?
Some people might just take it out and run away and never do it again, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Love that. Okay, and look, you've already been there for 5 years, so 5 years is a pretty decent time to be at a business. They've obviously changed name in that process as well. What did the business look like when you first joined? If we talk about like size, scale, and what does it look like now?
The journey itself was quite challenging because during these 5 years we have scaled up massively, and then we had to scale down at the same time. We had I would say 2 bull runs, and then a lot of periods of bear markets caused by big crashes within the industry.
Yeah.
If you take the FTX crash, that impacted us significantly. The Luna crash, the 3AC, all these events in the crypto world, the Bybit hack, do have their toll on the industry. And for us as an exchange, we do see this either through declining users signing up or declining trading volume. So we are actually we can see real-time effects of such events and when they happen. And you would see a lot of players, smaller exchanges, would fail to survive during these periods of time. So at the beginning, we were more focused on just getting up and running. Again, the tech itself, the operational aspect of running an exchange is quite heavy and demanding. And this was our initial focus, how to make sure that our teams are well equipped to run the exchange, to have it up and running 24/7, to limit the downtimes, to make sure that our upgrades and upgrade processes are smooth without our users ever having to worry about their funds or about their open positions, for instance. So it shifted from that, let's say, let's just build something let's build something and be able to run it 24/7 to today, trying to innovate on the product side, trying to focus more on the user, trying to see what other big players in the market are not doing, and trying to find our own place and our own voice in this quite competitive space, I would say.
Yeah, ever growing and competitive. Out of interest, say for example, the crypto space is quite volatile, right? And some of these crashes, you can't really tell when they're coming. So as a business in the space that you are, is there a roadmap of trying to eradicate these issues? Because I feel like the traditional stock market kind of goes in cycles to a certain extent, but in the crypto space, it can really be up and down. Like, how do businesses actually figure out how to future-proof that?
I think the process of future-proofing these kind of events just started with the big exchanges having implemented things like SAFU, so safe assets and wallets for users.
Yeah,
and some reserve funds for users in case of these events that happen and that there might be a massive user loss. However, previously, when we just started, you as an exchange, you're just riding this wave of being optimistic that Bitcoin price is going to drive to 250K, 500K, 1 million, and everyone forgets that actually the market does go in cycles.
Yeah.
And as a business, as a young business, this could have heavy impact on your growth plan, on your raising strategy, on different aspects of the day-to-day that the business can go into.
Nice, understood. And when did you start to, I know you've obviously worked at CoinFlow for 5 years now, but when did you start to get into the crypto world, the crypto space?
Professionally, I would say 8 years ago, but have been in the industry, started meddling around with crypto maybe 10 years ago. I would say as early as 2016, when the first bull run started happening and the price of Bitcoin started soaring up. So that's when I get myself into it and started to analyze and research the blockchain space to understand what it is, and trying to explain it to my wife.
Yeah.
She's a lawyer, and trying to get all these fancy drawings, whiteboards, and okay, it's blocks, it is ledger, and so on. Different times, I would say.
Yeah. How did you discover it? Was it like YouTube, or a friend was like, look, you need to have a look at Bitcoin. What's going on here? How did you find the space?
I can't recall the exact moment, I would say, but I remember that something about XRP and Ripple drew me, and I have no idea why. I felt that back then, when Ethereum and Bitcoin were already at $300 or $400, I missed this wave. And that is when Ripple and XRP came about, and they were between this decentralized world of Bitcoin and the free world and so on, and they were a bit more centralized with real world and banking and financial, let's say, ambitions. So I was like, okay, this is an asset that I need to get on board with. So that's, I think, how it started, if I remember correctly, because that was the first asset that I deposited to buy and purchase. Yeah,
that's actually so funny, because that was exactly the same reason how I learned more about it, or kind of in that world. Because I'll be honest, I'm not an expert in terms of investing and stuff like that. I don't know too much, and I don't invest heavily into crypto. But I remember it would have been maybe 6 or so years ago, right? And my friends were a little bit more involved in it, and they said, look, Liam, you may have missed like the bull run on Ethereum and Bitcoin, but XRP is where you need to be right now, because at the time it had the right, I don't know what the right terminology is, but it didn't have the legislation or whatever. Or they said, look, once it gets approval, this is going to go through the roof. I don't know if that ever happened. Did it happen?
I would say yes and no. They just they were, the SEC in the US was after them for long periods of time, and you know, it ends up being like your favorite football team. You support them even though that they are in the second division, barely surviving them. You know, the Wrexham of the crypto space. You know, you always think they're gonna make it, but
one day they'll get there.
One day, yeah.
I love that. Okay, awesome. Now I know I wanted to unpack a little bit more about your previous exposure to being a CTO, because I know you've done a few different things. Tech's always been part of your life and something you've been interested in, but you've had a journey as an entrepreneur in a slightly different world. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Before crypto, I had my own startup in ad tech, in advertising technology. We tried to build a Middle East equivalent of Google Ads or Google AdWords back in the day, and that was a heavy build in a sense that the technical requirements that it would take us to do. And this was this kind of steep learning curve that got me back into tech. But if you take it even a few years before that, I was coding since I was 12, 13 years old.
Yeah, wow.
So
what sort of technology was you coding back then? What was it?
Visual Basic and Basic. So it was just this kind of drag and drop buttons, and you create these forms, and you're so happy about it. And tried to code my first video game back in the day, because I was big on games. So always try to break things and try to fix them.
What sort of games was your go-tos?
Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, action adventure with. Anything that had someone that looks like Clara Croft was probably to be very frank. So that's what draws you as a young kid. You
love that.
Yeah. And then, I always dreamt about growing up and working at Eidos in London. You know, that, okay, I'm going to build the 10th version of that game. So, yeah.
Nice.
That's how it started.
Nice. And then you obviously went into the world of the advertising space, the Google Ads company that you set up, and then you went back into tech. What was the transition there?
So when we started the company, we had a nice small setup, some of my own savings that I invested in the business, and had a couple of team members join me early on, a CTO and then a lead tech. And they started building out the core technology. They chose quite a complex technology that I wasn't aware of, but just because everyone was doing it from Amazon and some other big players in that world. We chose that. However, for probably that lead developer got offered a much better job because he was really good.
Yeah.
And he left, leaving us with half-baked, half-done code. And we had two options, either shut down or for me to pick that up. And that's when I went back heavily into, just reading books, reading articles, just before the ChatGPT days where can I vibe code it. I had to do it through looking at a 15-minute YouTube video that maybe the speaker mentioned something about how this technology is developed and so on. And then researching all these articles and some code that was shared. And that's how you get back to it. So that's when I personally got back into tech, started coding hands-on myself, the core. Then even when we expanded, we got 3 very young developers back from where I am originally, Bosnia and Herzegovina, to they were just fresh grads. So we managed to get them to this kind of skill level where it was sufficient for us to run. And quite an interesting journey, but in the startup world, you do whatever is needed and whatever costs you the least to be able to, make the product and be up and running.
Makes sense. And then post that then, so when you then got back into the tech world, what did your journey look like until you were at Coinflare? Where else did you work previous to that, and what story is that?
So that I ran that startup since 2015, ran it for, I would say, 4 years until it officially shut down. But I would say 3 years we were very active and working and trying to get clients in. And during those 3 years is the biggest, I would say, the technical leap within my knowledge. I do come from a technical background. I did graduate as an electrical engineer in electronics and medical devices. And within that degree, you do get introduced to a lot of concepts of different data structures, old PICs and coding off the chips that power the computers of today and so on. However, that is never enough for you to go professionally into software engineering. And only when I started that startup, that is the first professional interaction that I had with code, and then hit with this hard reality that you need to, pull up your sleeves and get down to work and to put in the hours and the work.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a grind, but that journey itself within the startup world makes you learn all aspects of software engineering. So it's not about just writing the proper code, but where are you going to host it? Where are you going to have it up and running with, again, all the financial restrictions that, it needs to cost the least. So because we were a startup, we were given some credits, whether it was Amazon or GCP, Google later on, and even Azure. So we had to switch different cloud providers in order to run our infrastructure. And that's why I say I'm quite the expert on all cloud providers, not because I wanted to be, but just because we had to be, going after whoever gives us the free credits. So that's another aspect how you get to where you are today in terms of tech.
No, I love that. It's so funny. I feel like I've seen so many quotes, like on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and it's like, starting a business or being an entrepreneur is the biggest learning curve ever. Like, it gives you so much, doesn't it? Because you're not just also thinking about the tech stack, it's the finances, the marketing, everything. So whether it's successful or not, you've learned so much from that period of time to then implement as, your case as CTO or further down the line in different businesses.
Yeah, I agree. And the funny thing is, because just before I got into this startup world, I did work as a business development. So I was like, okay, this sales and finance and the marketing stuff, this is the easy stuff.
Yeah.
And tech is going to be the difficult stuff. And then you come in today and I'm like, if I ever wanted to start a business, I know how to do the tech stuff, but I would not be able to figure out the marketing or the go-to-market and the product positioning and so on quite easily. So it's weird how even you as a person, when you get so deep into a certain direction, that it becomes difficult to switch later down the line. So yeah,
it's interesting though, because I think, to be honest, like when I speak to most people that are very techie and amazing at coding, sometimes they have amazing ideas, but they don't know if they wanted to ever start something by themselves, they wouldn't know how to pitch that or to sell that. So the skill set that you've evolved over time is very good.
It is, but again, I don't know if don't ask me to pitch you any 60-second elevator pitches.
No worries, it's not Dragon's Den. It's all right. Nice. Okay, and then after this, I know you joined Dex, right? Pretty big company, successful company, and learned a lot from there as well.
Yes. So during the last year of running my startup, of course, the finances were low. Everything was bootstrapped. We won a big award in Abu Dhabi that we never received, which is weird.
Right.
Like when it is such a big money for a startup, $100,000, but it's so small that it doesn't even show up on.
Why did they not receive it?
I think bureaucracy.
No way.
Yeah, and just coincidence how things played out. That by that time probably were shutting down by the time that we were supposed to receive it. So
did they just go ghost on you, or was it like they was following up and saying it's going to happen?
It got sucked into procurement, and then when you get there with this government entities, you need to go through all these processes. We needed to establish a company in Abu Dhabi and so on. So I don't know, it was a nightmare with that. And maybe that was one of the reasons why we didn't make it through, because that could have helped the business maybe get in a different direction. But again, one door closes, another opens. And at that time, 2018, I get introduced to an individual who wanted to start a regulated crypto exchange here in the UAE.
Would that have been the first one here?
The first one. No one even thought about a regulated crypto exchange. Everyone would go, "Are you crazy? Like, why are you leaving money on the table?"
Yeah.
Because everyone was like Binance, Bybit, all these big exchanges, Huobi, Gate.io, they were making tons of money. They were sponsoring everyone. They were, just because they were acting into this gray
area. Yeah, non-regulation. It's crazy, isn't it? If you're going to put money into anything, like who knows what's going on.
And then you see these kind of pocket jurisdictions pop out in different parts of the world, the Malta's, Liechtenstein, and so on. And then UAE comes and says, okay, we want to be among the first to draw up a framework for crypto and what we call today virtual assets. So they don't like the word crypto, it's virtual assets. And that is when ADGM establishes their first framework through their FSRA, the Financial Services Regulator. And the director of that entity was Richard Tang, who's today heading Binance. They get an amazing team. This individual wants to start an exchange in Abu Dhabi, and I get on board as a technical consultant. So I just started working part-time, 1 day a week for
How did you know this guy? Just random connection?
Just got introduced because, so that is a funny story. So the government entity in Abu Dhabi that was supposed to give us that that prize, one of the directors, an amazing gentleman, again, very young Emirati, very, very modern, very helpful. He goes and says, okay, you need to go and talk to these guys. They are super techy. They can help you improve your tech. And I go meet with these two French dudes who barely, you can't understand their English, but you see that they are super smart and super expensive. So I'm like, okay, guys, I'm a startup. You're super expensive. Thanks for the lunch. They pay for it. Thanks, because I wouldn't be able to pay for it in some fancy restaurant in Abu Dhabi back in the day. And good to meet you. We shake hands. A few weeks later, this guy comes and says, okay, hey, Halid, we met. You said that you have an ad tech business. I have this guy who's bugging me to help him build this advertising, some VR, AR startup. And I really don't want to do it because I want to focus on my business, my agency. Why don't you go and do it? And he's paying well. Like, paying well, I'm in. So you can go. His gig was that he would go 1 day a week to the office, help him, whatever setup is needed. And he pays well. I'm like, okay, I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
I meet the gentleman, started working with him with this AR, VR thing that he was thinking of. But then I see that he's at the same time working on that crypto exchange. And I was like, okay, no, I don't want the AR, VR
That's
stuff.
more interesting
I want the crypto exchange stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into it. And of course, that project was at a much more advanced level because he is a lawyer, so he had all these big legal companies and legal documents drafted, and started the talks with the regulator in Abu Dhabi, and started helping them with setting up the initial tech, vetting the vendors, preparing all the initial diagrams, presenting them, going to the regulatory meetings with him to present them to the regulator, and got, just thrown into the industry quite early on. And since then, I'm not leaving anytime soon.
It's mad how that's happened though, isn't it? Because that's actually at the event, right, where you was going to be awarded the money, but it didn't happen. But you've managed to make this connection very randomly, and it's, turned out the way it is now. So really is the case. Sometimes everything happens for a reason, right? You've got to believe that.
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting. And then so he was then the founder of Dex, right? He then built out that business.
Yes. He built the business. I was there consulting for around 6 months, started as interim CTO. And then when they were asked by the regulator, okay, guys, you got the initial approval. Now you need to establish your offices and your teams in Abu Dhabi, in Maria Island.
How many people was actually in the business when you joined then as a consultant?
I was just the second one.
Oh, no
Only
way.
him and me, and then external people. But then immediately, because he did have quite good backing, quite good investors, immediately, as soon as he got the initial approval, he brought in some of the brightest and most experienced individuals within I wouldn't say the crypto space, because it is an exchange.
Yeah.
So from traditional exchanges. So couple of people from London Stock Exchange who then became the CTO, Terry Gibson, one of my mentors, one of the people who he wasn't the most technical person, but that is when you learn that technology, especially in such an organization, is not about only writing code, but it is about how to speak to regulators, how to make sure that you have compliance, how you within your tech, GDPR, how to make sure that you have all the security aspects thought of, how to make sure that every part of your system has enough resilience and backup in case of failure. And all of a sudden, you start having this different perspective on tech. It's not just about writing code, but it is about what kind of checks and controls you have in place, what happens if a certain system goes down, all these recovery mechanisms, and learned quite a lot from them. And then there were other people who joined, very experienced. Today, this team, the core team of Dex, is actually in different exchanges within the UAE that are heavily regulated. And I would say they were among the people who managed to build the exchange world, or the virtual assets marketplace that today is quite,
that we know of today. Yeah. It's a great experience. Again, UAE, I guess for you joining that team, almost like a founding team, well, he was a founding team member, right? With all these elite people from different industries brought in to build this. Like, what a great experience for you as well.
Exactly. At one point of time, there was a gentleman who was supposed to join us as CEO, Tim Thurman, coming from Australia Stock Exchange, has been in different exchanges, 20 years of national proper stock exchanges, and you hear all these stories about these isolated rooms where the quants work, and so that nothing leaks out, and they lose within 12 seconds 28 million. Wall Street stuff that you only see on movies. So impressed. I would just sit there and just listen in. It's crazy.
Amazing stories of it as well. Love that. Okay. And then, so sorry, I keep interrupting you there, but then you went to Dex, and then obviously grew that business, and then ended up at Coinfire after that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was in Dex for 3 years. I was heading the engineering then for 3 years. because again, we had all these brilliant individuals. So I only had to focus on engineering, only building the code, building dev teams, core technology, and so on. And to be honest, just sit back and learn from all these brilliant individuals. And then I was presented with the opportunity to join Coinflare as the CTO. And that's how it all started.
Nice.
5 years ago. I mean, it's March, so probably 4 years, 9 months ago. Yeah.
Nice. And then I guess, look, you've had such an interesting journey, I guess, of being an entrepreneur and then moving into the CTO roles, etc. Like, what would you say some of the hardest things you've had to learn across that journey have been, either as an entrepreneur, business founder yourself, or a CTO right now as well?
So from the entrepreneurship perspective, one of the early lessons that I had to learn, and maybe I didn't on time, is to be fast to go to market, to be able to iterate, present the idea as fast as possible to the market. It is something that is often spoken of in the startup world. Oh, you need to build your MVP, go fast, go to market, test, get users' feedback, and then iterate. It was difficult within our startup, but again, there were definitely ways that we could have done that. Maybe because I am a techie, I was drawn more into this product development rather than let's say, trying to get user feedback and get what the market wants and try to build according to that. You were always in this build mode. So that was one of the big lessons that I learned the hard way. And then, of course, you learn how to accept and evaluate things as they come. So all these, you see, series of coincidences or introductions resulted in me being where I am today. Today, even my savings are in crypto. I don't have anything in the bank. I don't have a property here in the UAE. So it's all of a sudden is, are you sure? It is. And then so the whole mindset changes, and I think it's about being ready to accept the change that comes your way, and having enough information and feedback so that you can bring such a decision when the time is right.
Nice. On the like speed go to market side of things, I'm quite interested on that, because I know some people that start businesses, they want to get everything incredibly right and perfect because it's their baby, it's their new product they're going to market with, and they want to make sure when the world sees it, it's in a really good position, right?
Guilty as charged. Yeah.
But other people, and I really understand that, I get that, but then other people say, look, just get it out super quick, and then look, we can rebuild anytime, it's totally fine. Like, would you say that's now more your approach? Like, how would you level it out? Because it's got to be a fine line also.
Yeah, I would say I'm still not into that mode, but I know that it works.
Yeah.
So the faster you iterate, the faster you push to market, the faster you will get feedback. And there is even a concept in this programming language that I used early on in my career, which is fail fast. So the whole point of your, whatever it is a process in coding or a process in creating a startup, is that the sooner you fail, the sooner you can recover.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that the business fails. It could be just that, okay, that product didn't work the way you intended. Maybe the market didn't accept it. Maybe it was technically difficult and so on. So you would come up and with an alternative, a different way to do things. So definitely I believe in that, but is it easy for me to implement? Because I am a product, I am a tech person, and I am a perfectionist. So it's always difficult to draw that fine line. I always get drawn into creating the best product, but then always reminding myself, no, you need to ship fast to the market.
Yeah. And it's, I think, even more so important in this, like in the sector that you're in right now, if we're looking at the crypto world, AI, for example, everybody's trying to build the next best product or, asset or whatever, right? So you have to move fast, otherwise people will just see you alive or you'll get beaten. Then it's like, oh my God, I've just been beat on what I'm trying to build already.
Exactly. Today, creating an MVP, an idea, is super, super easy.
Yeah.
But that's why it's going to become super competitive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice. If we look at more like the leadership style and leadership things like skills and mindset that you've learned over the years, what would you say you've learned most being a leader, and also like your style of leadership in general?
I did take a couple of these. I don't remember quizzes but I even don't remember what the results were. But anyway, what I like is to lead by example. So again, I'm a very hands-on coder engineer. So if I work with my dev teams, with my colleagues, I like to sit with them, work with them, and try to lead by example. I don't mind that. I can sit behind a code and try to just grind to get the best output and outcome out of that. So that's my, I would say, primary style is that you lead by example. If you're there with them, they know that you're one of them, and I am, and actually that excites me. So if we solve the problems together, there is a mutual sense of accomplishment. So that's a lot of teamwork makes the dream work kind of attitude. And then as well, I like to be personal with people in a sense that I understand what drives or what motivates each of them individually. What is the thing that is gonna make them try to do the best at their work tomorrow, the day after tomorrow? What is it gonna be the thing that drives them personally to stay in the business, or maybe to even think, oh, where am I gonna be in 5 years here? So these are the kind of things that drive me, and again, it's more related to tech, which is kind of, you have a lane, you have a way of doing things with the scrums, with the sprint, with agile, and so on, all these principles and frameworks. So makes it much easier to focus on the personal, interpersonal aspect of building that relationship.
Yeah, I think it's so important as well. Like when we spoke about this before, but each person inside of the business, which you mentioned, like needs their own little mission. They need to know where they're going to be inside of your business in the next 3 to 5 years. Because I think especially in this world, again, there's so much competition, so many new projects, people will get poached and people get taken quite easily. So for that staff retention, it's so important to have that in place.
Yeah, I agree. And again, these things happen. We are a small exchange. Some bigger exchanges will come and try to put some people there from our team, and sometimes you're able to fend it off. Sometimes you wouldn't be able to do that. But at least it's kind of stamp of approval that we have built capable people that are valued in the space, and I think that just speaks to the quality of the team members, of the approach that we did over the past, let's say, 4 or 5 years within CoinFlare.
Yeah. How do you find? Because I know you guys predominantly, I think, operate pretty remotely, right? So most of the tech guys are remotely. Do you think, like, how do you find that? Do you find that more challenging, or do you think that's a pretty good way of working?
I would say in tech it became easier just because when COVID hit, the whole world changed, and you would see other lines of businesses trying to adapt to this remote first idea. But then within the software engineering and development teams, it was already there, because you would see a lot of companies have remote teams even before this was an idea. You would see a lot of companies have teams in big tech hubs across the world, Eastern Europe, Pakistan, India, now the whole of Southeast Asia and so on. So you would see this trend come before COVID. Now, when COVID hit and that became the norm elsewhere, I would say it became even more important to organize it within the tech space.
Yeah.
And that's when other tools were introduced in terms of performance monitoring, task estimation, and so on. And all these tools make things much easier in terms of how to make sure that that job is going to be done.
Yeah.
It did come with its own set of challenges, because you would see some developers would go and work for 2 or 3 companies at the same time.
Yeah.
And brag about it. And
that happens a lot.
Yeah. But I don't think it's still happening till today, because there was a big consolidation in the market with the introduction of AI. So I wouldn't say from the work perspective that it is difficult to run a software house or a software team, but maybe from the interpersonal interaction that becomes a bit challenging. But again, we embrace it, and this means that you create this kind of cultural pot where everyone communicates, and then all of a sudden, wherever you sit in the world, the moment you come on this virtual meeting, everyone leaves their background, ethnicities, beliefs behind, and then everyone speaks the same language, which is good.
Yeah, of course. And just thinking there, actually, like it makes such a big difference of a change. So when I was first recruiting in London for software engineers in London, like we'd focused a lot on contract placements. And I remember calling candidates to see if they could get on the tube, and it was like a short enough commute for them to travel every day. And then over the COVID period, these senior engineers could sit from home and do the same job. But then businesses got a bit more savvy, thinking, oh, actually, I can have people in different places around the world if they're sat at home, maybe on a different, skill set is a little bit better or a little bit cheaper, maybe, for example. Or I guess in the fintech world, they need people working all around the clock. They can now build these teams remotely, working 24/7 a day.
Yep.
Big difference.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
You would see a lot of ideas come up within these companies, and they need to do massive scale up. So instead of just limiting themselves by finding talent, let's say in your case within London, because they need someone who's close to be able to get to the office within 30, 40 minutes. Otherwise, people would be like, no, this is too far for me.
Yeah.
Even though it might be in London itself.
Yeah.
So that's when they say, okay, why don't I just go and hire someone elsewhere?
Crazy difference. Yeah. Such a big difference thinking back. If we talk about we talk about fintech, but let's talk about obviously the crypto industry specifics. What are the biggest changes that you've personally seen over the past 5 years, aside from the remote working, other things alongside that?
Within crypto space, I would say regulation. Yeah. The fact that regulation got introduced since I got into the industry, because at the very beginning, you would see that, oh, okay, you are the the outlier. You're the black sheep. Oh, you're the only one who's trying to get on that regulatory path. Everyone else doesn't care. They're just in grab as much money as possible. It is, and then all of a sudden, fast forward today, which is 5-6 years, and you see Binance, the biggest crypto exchange, which was free for all, decentralized, never regulated, to the most regulated exchange that there is. And that same individual, Richard Tang, is the CEO of Binance today after CZ stepped down. So that shows you and speaks to the impact of regulatory requirements that have come in recently. UAE was among the leading countries, I would say, with the first framework, the first regulations. We have now today 2 big regulators with the FSRA and ADGM, and then VARA here in Dubai. So very, I would say, pioneering that space, but it is getting everywhere. You have MiCA in Europe. You have different places having their regulatory bodies and regulatory frameworks come out, and it is becoming a requirement. Soon you will not be able to transfer 1,000 USDT, if we speak in virtual assets in crypto, to an individual without having checks and background checks and source of fund checks done on your transaction. So the world has changed massively.
Yeah. And then, so if we're looking at, let's say, for example, VARA, can people set up a crypto exchange in this region without having that license, or would it be classed as illegal then? How does that actually work?
You can set up a business, but then you wouldn't be allowed to onboard users from that country. You can onboard users where you have regulatory license, and of course it depends. It differs from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So here in the UAE, that is very clear and very specific. You're not allowed to onboard users from the UAE unless you have a regulatory license.
Right, understood.
So it is still getting there. We're still not yet there. We have a few countries like that, maybe the UK, UAE, now US, China. We have seen other countries starting to introduce, they have regulatory agencies or even ministries or bodies and so on that regulate this space. So India, Pakistan is getting in that space. Malaysia, we already see Singapore is quite advanced there with their with the mass and so on. So it is getting heavily regulated.
Yeah, understood. And then what would you say for the next 5 to 10 years? What differences can you see?
So this regulation was limited to centralized, I would say, players.
Yeah.
So centralized exchanges like us, like Binance and Bybit, where people would sign up and do exchange of different assets. Previously, it was crypto to crypto, so you would go get USDT or Bitcoin or Ethereum and exchange it and so on and diversify your portfolio. But with the regulation, you can now even do fiat to crypto or crypto to fiat. So basically, you already can purchase some Bitcoins with USD on an exchange or with AED and trade that, and vice versa. And that means that exchanges are the central places where these transactions happen, and that where you can hold your, let's say, or build your portfolio and hold your assets. Now, this is again limited to centralized exchanges and players where there is an authority, a central authority that runs them. So it would be the management, the holding, the group that is behind that exchange, and that is what regulators were after. But within the next 5 years, I think this is going to expand towards the DeFi, the decentralized finance world. DeFi is built on the premise that you have these, that you have smart contracts, that you have pieces of logic that run decentralized. So basically, there is not a central authority that approves or rejects a certain request or a certain transaction. And that's what DeFi is.
Yeah.
A bunch of smart contracts that function according to rules. Creators of these DeFi projects and smart contracts always are under the assumption, or were under the assumption, that this can't be regulated because it's decentralized.
Yeah.
And this creates a different path into the crypto world, into the virtual assets world. However, regulators have started going after that too. Central Bank of UAE has already issued its, I think it's more of a paper or an analysis on how they will look at the decentralized finance, and that they will think that, or they will assume that the team that built that DeFi project is the liable team that stands behind that, the way that funds are transferred and transacted.
Why would people still be building the DeFi projects now then, if it's not regulated? Would that lack people's trust to do that, or is an advantage because there is a lot of grey area there for people?
I wouldn't say it's just about the grey area. So don't forget that if you remember back in the day when you purchased your first XRP, the crypto came because it challenged status quo.
Yeah.
Status quo is where you have your banks. If you want to do any kind of remittance, if I want to send any money back home to Bosnia or so on, it is quite a heavy, complex process where you need to do all this SWIFT transaction, a lot of fees and so on. And crypto came and just made things super easy. Super easy to hold assets, super easy to invest them, and to get yield, to lend, and so on. So all these financial products back in the day created this alternative reality to what we see in the traditional sense of things. You don't need to go to a bank to get a loan because you can get it from a crypto lender. You don't need to go to put your money in bank to get yield and to get interest. You can do that in the crypto world. And all of a sudden you created a parallel financial, let's say, system. That's how the crypto, how DeFi started. And all these systems and all these benefits are the reason why people do build DeFi projects today. It's not just because they might be interested in going into the gray zone or gray area.
Yeah.
But then that regulator wouldn't be happy with you transacting to me without them knowing
sense.
where that money is going and where did it come from.
Yeah, there's so many. I think there's such an exciting space as well because there's so many like different opportunities and rooms for like areas for growth and products you can build inside that ecosystem as well. One of the clients we work with at the moment, actually, it's quite expensive to transfer money around different states in Africa, different countries in Africa. Sorry, so they do that all through cryptocurrency and blockchain and stuff like that because then they don't have to pay these large transaction fees. Big bonus. Then obviously the real world assets that everyone's talking about at the moment is huge here right now. Real estate, things like that.
It is. I still see that being a hype. Yet we still need to find the real world example of how the tokenization is going to function. But there is a big play on tokenization that's going to come in the very near future.
What do you think about the real world assets stuff here? Because I feel like that's lots of conversations I've been having with the new business owners and stuff like that is that's a real big market for them to push in, specifically real estate here. But it makes a lot of sense though, right?
It does. People do have always doubts because if you take a property, a unit, let's say here in Marina, in Dubai Marina, and you want to split it, the main question is who owns the property and how can I own 2 or 3% of a property?
Yeah.
What does that mean? So again, it is used as an investment vehicle because you want to be exposed to the real estate market. If you dig deeper down that route of having an investment or having a portfolio where you are exposed to the real estate space, that is when tokenization of real estate is going to be quite massive. So think of it, and I did do a presentation on that topic and quite a good research where if you think about this approach, Liam wants to buy property for investment and you go look at different areas of Dubai. Now you can go and buy something in JVC, Marina, maybe Dubai South, but you are kind of betting the 2-3 mil that you put as a property price that is going to explode or it's going to go up.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the case. So what you can do as an investor with fractionalized ownership and with tokenized real estate is that you can go and buy, let's say, 2% from one property in one area, 2% from the other, and so on. And that's how you can actually hedge your investment in real estate. Still be exposed to it, still benefit from the upside, still benefit from yield in case you're renting it out, but not be exposed and not be limited with a certain unit.
Yeah.
And you can easily exit and enter new properties if there was a secondary market.
Yeah. It's actually so interesting, specifically in Dubai, right? Because I feel like people that want to invest in Dubai, if they don't live here, or maybe if they do live here as well, the big risk is you might be investing in one of these new areas that the real estate broker or whatever is like, this is going to be the next big thing, right? This is going to be the next big boom and the real estate price will go incredibly high here. But you don't really know because they're constantly building these new complexes everywhere. So I guess you can, if you had $100,000 to spend, right, you could diversify that risk a little bit, like put something in downtown in these areas that are up and coming, maybe like Jebel Ali, right? Because that's maybe where a lot of people are going to be invested now. So it's interesting, you can spread your risk.
Exactly. And creating this kind of financial products and market dynamics is very useful because it's not only you, but think about a developer or an investor who built the building.
Yeah.
Maybe they built it today in 2025 when the real estate market is close to the top or at the top. And because they just are about to start selling out the units, they think the market is going to tank. Maybe the prices are going to go down 5 or 10%, but still that is a considerable loss when you have hundreds of millions invested in certain project.
Yeah.
And imagine a place where you can go and maybe hedge that risk by shorting the real estate market.
Yeah.
So this is where it becomes interesting on how these real world assets, the fractional ownership, how can that be converted into a financial product?
Yeah.
The same way that we today trade gold and silver on Robinhood or any other platform.
And even it could be on a global scale, right? So you could invest into different countries, different cities, etc. Yep. Interesting. Okay, nice. What I was going to ask you next is, we've not got too much long left, but I wanted to ask sort of what advice you would give to somebody that either wants to be in your position today, so a CTO, or a business owner, a startup founder. Like, what advice would you give to some people that want to be in your position right now?
the world has changed massively over the past, I would say, 1 year, 18 months. So the most important thing is just be versatile, be flexible, and immediately try to get on this AI bandwagon. Just embrace it. Don't be scared of it. Just try to do as much as possible. Learn how to use different prompts. Learn new skills. If you have any doubts about speaking, about writing, about coding, just go to ChatGPT or whatever AI tool that you prefer and try to get that knowledge quick and fast, because it is becoming very competitive.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, others will. If you're not ready for change, some other people might be. And I think that there is going to be soon a place where you no longer need a CTO per se. You might need a chief, whatever it is, but it might be multiple hats that you wear as a single, let's say, person that is within the leadership team. So the lines are going to be blurred between, business, operations, marketing, and tech. And you might need people in the leadership positions who understand all of these, and how people who can use AI, utilize it to understand all these, how they play together within a business.
Great advice. I want to ask you one more question on the AI stuff, because I think it's, as you mentioned, it might restructure how companies are built and teams are built. Do you feel like that with AI now, teams will be leaner, or maybe they'll be still the same amount of headcount, but operate in a much more efficient way? They'll grow quicker because they have that advancement. Like, how do you see that?
There is a consolidation that started happening, let's say, especially in the software development world, where AI is taking some of the software engineering jobs and so on, and that is understandable. But this means that, again, there are enough products to be built because the market didn't change. The world is growing. More and more people are coming to this world. So basically, there are going to be new markets, new products to be built, new technologies to be worked on, always. But will we need 20 engineers to do what we needed them for 5 years ago? No. Maybe today 5 engineers will be enough, but the other 15 people might be needed in other areas.
Yeah.
So again, I think this rotation in what people do is going to happen over the next couple of years until people find their balance. But certain teams will be leaner. Certain teams will be, again, maybe bigger.
Yeah. Love that. Awesome. Halid, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your time. Great episode. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Liam, again for having me. And thanks, everyone.
Good stuff.